is lots of ground to cover here on this edition of India Tonight. Now, let's turn to our big story. Our spotlight is on 5G. It's touted as a network of networks. And if reports are to be believed, this kind of network is going to leave 4G coughing in its dust. That's the kind of speed we're looking at. But why is there so much hype around 5G? What is it about 5G that really enthuses consumers and enterprises alike? Yes, faster for sure. That's the 5G promise. But there is more to it. Here's ET Now's Gulshan Sharma painting us the picture for 5G with this report about all that it promises, everything that it brings to the table.
All lines to this route are currently busy. Please try again later.
We've all heard this voice at some point or the other, and this is now considered a standard signal to try a WhatsApp call. But the quality of your WhatsApp call also depends on your neighbors who are on the same network. If you live in an area with teenagers addicted to online gaming or young adults in love with Amazon and Netflix, then the chances of a successful WhatsApp call are pretty slim. But all this could change in the years to come as India takes the first step towards the rollout of 5G services. 4G services often face difficulty when multiple devices are used in the same location. But 5G makes intelligent use of resources and can handle up to 10 lakh devices per square kilometer, guaranteeing glitch-free transmission with evolved AR and VR systems. The information carrying capacity of radio waves is limited. In simple terms, there is limited space for every user. 5G increases the space and can give up to 10 times the 4G speed. 4G networks are primarily aimed at phones, but 5G networks use a technology called network slicing. What this means is slices of networks can be deployed for specific services without wasting resources. When operational, the 5G network will transform the way that we live and work. It will play a key role in digitizing traffic systems. On-the-go gaming will improve by leaps and bounds, and even agriculture could benefit as the sector could deploy self-driving robots. The opportunities are unlimited as 5G will transform the use of technology both at the personal and industrial level. However, experience tells us that transformation takes time. It is estimated that 80% of Indian consumers are using 4G handsets, and it will surely take time for users to switch to 5G devices. Also, the initial rollout is expected only in a handful of cities first. And finally, there's no word yet on pricing, but 5G plans will most likely be available at a premium to the current 4G plans. With Gulshan Sharma in Mumbai, this is Alex Matthew for ET Now.
Clearly, the coming of 5G is something that many of us will be looking forward to. But what are the benefits for the telecom companies? Remember, all the major telecom companies wanted a reduction in the price of the spectrum bands, but that clearly has not happened. In fact, many were complaining that the high prices and also the allowance of private captive networks, that's going to lead to huge losses of revenue for the telecom companies. Now, according to some reports that we're getting, the debt of India's telecom companies, that may also see a spurt if they buy spectrum at the kind of prices they would be auctioned at. But let's get that picture going. As far as the 5G auction is concerned, what's at stake? What are the prices that we're looking at? What are the amounts that telecom companies will be expected to cough up? Let's get that from my colleague Danish. He's joining us with all those details. Danish.
Well, 5G is all set to be a reality in India this year as a Union Cabinet chaired by PM Modi yesterday gave an approval to DOT's proposal of holding 5G auctions. As per the NIA, the 5G auction is supposed to be held on 26 July 2022. Besides this, the Union Cabinet has taken crucial calls on the future of 5G in India. Well, in total, 72,000 megahertz of frequency in low band, mid band and high band will be put under the auction. Besides this, the Union Cabinet has decided to allot spectrum to telecom companies for a period of 20 years. Well, DOT in its proposal had suggested to allot spectrum to telecom companies for a period of 30 years. But the Union Cabinet has allowed the telecom operators to hold the spectrum for a period of 20 years. Besides this, the telecom operators will be able to also surrender spectrum in 10 years with very less liability. Besides this, the major call that the Union Cabinet has taken, it's on the private networks. Well, the Union Cabinet has allowed private enterprises to have their own captive networks, while the industry and telecom operators were at loggerheads, but the Union Cabinet has decided to allot private captive networks to the private companies. Besides this, if we see, this is a major development because for the first time ever, the telecom operators will be allowed to make staggered payments. So telecom operators will have a tenure of 20 years in which they'll have to make equal payments at the beginning of every year. So if we see, according to sources, the DOT is trying to roll out 5G in a very quick way, and we can expect the first 5G call to happen in India in the month of August. So if we see, the Union Cabinet has cleared the air around 5G's future in India. It has taken crucial calls. Private capital networks will be there. Besides this, the staggered payment option to telecom operators has also been given. So all in all, if we see, 5G will soon become a reality in India, and in August, we can expect the first 5G call to happen.
And August is not too far away. Danish, thanks very much for putting that in perspective, all the details coming through in what the government is planning to do with the 5G rollout. Let's get perspective on this. Our guest on this edition of India Tonight is TV Ramachandran, the president of Broadband India Forum, BIF. This is a policy think tank for digital communications in India. Mr. Ramachandran, great to have you with us, and I'm sure you must be thrilled by the fact that the government has opted to allow private enterprises to bid for 5G spectrum. This has been a bone of contention between private enterprises seeking captive 5G and, of course, the traditional telecom players. But now that it is an open ground for bidding, Mr. Ramachandran, I want to ask you, what is the kind of participation that we can expect from these enterprises? You have members like Google, Amazon, TCS. These are your members. So can we expect participation to be restricted to the tech giants, or are we expecting smaller enterprises also to participate in this?
Thank you very much, Vikram. It's a great pleasure. As you said, I'm really thrilled and excited today at this momentous decision taken by the cabinet. I think it's a big, big leap forward. The first time seeing of the type what happened in 99 with NTP 99, and that transformed the sector completely. This is something of that scale or more, and I think we all need to be very, very happy about it. As regards 5G, it's not just private networks. I wouldn't take any particular issue particularly right now. I would say that 5G is a big thing all over. And with 5G, the factor that is playing is the TINA factor. There is no alternative. We have to go to 5G for digitalization. It is not any incremental small benefit, but total digitalization of all verticals. And what we need to appreciate first and foremost, that it is not just a telecom thing. For the first time, the first G that is stepping out of telecom and walking across to all other verticals, industry verticals, whether it is healthcare, whether it is manufacturing, whether it is agriculture, whether it is logistics and transportation, all of them will be pervaded by 5G. And when that happens, the complete sector benefits, the industrial sector benefits, healthcare sector, education, research, everything. And that's why
aren't we slightly delayed getting into the 5G game? And now with the kind of players, their readiness also in these, these aren't the easiest of times right now. So when you talk about their war chest to participate in the spectrum auction, as delayed as we may be to get into the game, where do you suspect that is?
See, one could always argue that way also, that we are delayed. Rest of the world has gone, more than 56 countries or so have gone into 5G. Maybe 200 odd services are available in 5G. All that is known, but everybody has to make a beginning somewhere, and we are making a beginning now. I think there is no negativity about the whole thing. To say that what will be the bidding, what will the technology companies bid? That is, I think, is a wrong perspective, because it is not that BIF represents technology companies alone. We represent the complete broadband spectrum of players, which includes Wi-Fi, which includes satellite players, technology players, uh, uh, academics, institutions, research. So the complete spectrum is small and big, all are represented. So please don't talk of us as talking for technology players. We beg to disagree on that. And we
But
would like
all
to
these
state,
players, Mr. Ramachandran, all these players, do you think they are set with the kind of prices that the spectrum is being offered at? Are they okay with it in your understanding? The prices, are you happy with what you're seeing the government offer 5G spectrum at?
again, I would like to make a small correction. The prices are for auction.
Yes,
Auction of spectrum.
yes,
And please understand, Vikram,
yes, yes.
that auction is for public telecommunication services. What the TSP license is today, telco license, is a public land mobile telecommunication system. It is called a PLMN, and that is public telecommunication service, which is circle-wide or statewide and offering a rich bouquet of services. That's a completely different kettle of fish. What we are talking about for private network enterprises is a small campus play of individual captive usage. It is a captive network. The TRA has correctly labeled it as captive private wireless network. The 3GPP, the highest body for 5G standards in the world, calls it non-public network. I repeat, non-public network. I think you have to understand that. Everybody is confusing. We are not into competition with the telcos on the public telecommunication service. That is their preserve, and rightly so. For that, there will be an auction of spectrum. But this is something captive usage. There is no retail revenue at all, no retail or business revenues. So that is allotted world over. It is allotted at administrative reasonable price, a nominal price, because otherwise there will be no takers for that. And for every campus network, there is only one possible user, one possible party interested in that, which is that enterprise alone. You can't dream of a Toyota or an Apollo coming and bidding for a campus network in the, say, Maruti campus. That is meaningless. So there is no question of auction. Auction is only when there are multiple players interested in a product. Here, there's only one player, and it is his only requirement. So let us be very clear. There is no question of auction for private spectrum. It is not done anywhere in the world.
Mr. Ramachandran, I meant it in a more generic sense, the kind of prices that you're seeing, because like you said, you don't want to represent only the private enterprises. So I was looking at it more holistically. But taking away from the point that you're making, Mr. Ramachandran, for now, enterprises setting up the private captive networks, they will be able to obtain the spectrum on lease from telcos, just like you were explaining. They will have access service authorization and establish their own isolated network, like you're explaining. Now, the required licensing terms and conditions and the spectrum leasing guidelines are going to be issued by the Telecom department. Are you happy with this setup, this arrangement? Or would you rather have the government do this differently, where you didn't have to deal with the telcos to lease the spectrum?
Again, I think I have a slightly different understanding of the situation. What the cabinet seems to have recommended, decided is all the scenarios, 4 scenarios recommended by the TRAI, it has said, yes, we'll go with that. That means the choices are there, whether you want to lease spectrum from the telco or whether you want to take it directly from government or XYZ, all the scenarios. So don't think that leasing of spectrum is the only option. Yes, we'll take that option if that is whatever is competitive in quote to the enterprise will take it. That's obvious. So if whichever method is best, whichever player is giving that, they will take that. So I'm quite happy with that. And DOT will definitely, government will be issuing further details in guidelines and procedures for this. I'm sure that will be very clarificatory. No problem.
Great to have you with us, and great to have you share your perspective on this. It's a matter of celebration that finally India is going to have the much needed 5G spectrum. It's going to spur a lot of different industries all across the board, like Mr. Ramachandran is pointing out. And we hope this is sooner rather than later. That rollout, the auctions will take place, and we hope there is good participation. Meanwhile, thanks very much and good evening to you. But now,